As you guys know, I've been more diligent in my research, in my videos, and I've been writing things on with scripts, and I've been just really focusing during the week, putting more time into preparation. And if you guys remember when I did the coronavirus video, I pretty much like scared myself to the point where I couldn't even like look at the news or talk about it for like a month because I in so much research I scared the shit out of myself. So we've got a video coming out soon called How to Live Longer, which is basically all of the things you can do to slow down your aging process as a wheelchair user. So in order for me to do that, I had to look into the effects of aging as a wheelchair user, specifically with a spinal cord injury, and all the complications and the difficulties and the challenges and this and that, and, you know, watching really long videos of like conferences of people talking and reading really long research papers and, you know, like checking out interviews with other wheelchair users that have been, you know, wheelchair users for a very long time. But it pretty much like put me in this corner where I'm like, oh no, I'm sad and afraid now. Like I did this life expectancy calculator. I'm only going to live for 3.5 more years. What up?
Wait, what?
Yeah, you can do like a lot, like how long can I live with a spinal cord injury?
Wait, but why would
calculator.
it say 3.5 years?
Because most people can in the 1940s, if you got a spinal cord injury, no one lived longer than 18 months. And they usually always died from like kidney and urinary problems or respiratory problems. Like they would just die. Like they go in autonomic dysreflexia. They couldn't empty their bladder. Catheters didn't even really exist. Like,
yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Like there's a whole bunch of stuff. And then once we hit like 1965, you could live, so another 25 years later, you were able to live 15 years after your injury date. So if you got injured, you had 15 years to live. Those studies haven't been re-upped since. So you do the calculator. I got injured at 20. I'm going to die at 35 supposedly.
Oh yeah, but we all know wheelchair users that have been injured for way longer than that.
Oh yeah, 30, 40, 50, 60 years. We know people that have been around for a while. Yeah. But it's definitely I've scared the shit out of myself in this video.
What's it's not scary? I mean, I guess the video will come out next week, so people will see it. But
the video is not going to be scary at all. The video is going to be sick. The video
but
is going to.
What's so scary to you? That there's just so many unknowns that you forgot about or you didn't know
There's
about?
a lot of unknowns. There's a lot of complications. There's a lot of risk. There's a lot of possibility for decreased quality of life, and it's just, I mean, it's everything from like, you know, depression and pain and bowel problems and bladder problems and skin problems and stuff with your heart and your liver and your kidneys and your prostate and cancers and obesity and bone and joint problems and and shoulder problems.
I mean, you're at a greater risk for all those things. It is weird though, because I mean, we're all just sacks of flesh. I mean, we're all, so I mean, shit, I could walk outside my door and get hit by a car right now. You know what I mean? So it's like, you're at a greater risk for all these things, but you're a really healthy person. You take care of yourself. Like you are doing it the best you can to, you know, do these things. You're not obese. You're not, you know, like I think you're probably on the very high end of that spectrum. And I think there's probably a lot of people that are completely able-bodied that are not taking care of their health that are in a way worse position, you know? Not pain-wise and stuff, but like life expectancy-wise.
Totally. You know, I think about it also like, I'm German, English, and Irish. I've never looked into genetic predispositions and problems related to my German heritage. I've never looked into the longevity problems with my Irish heritage or with my English heritage. I mean, why would I do that? I don't, you know, I've never looked into like, oh, these are all the ways that you're going to age poorly and that you might die young.
I think that's weird.
Why would any normal person do that? No normal person's going to do that. It's usually until you're like 45 to 60 that those things.
Or something.
yeah, if you're like 45 to 60 and like those things start kicking in or whatever. But, you know, I just think I'm doing all this research. It's like, and I can just imagine like all these worst case scenarios. And like, I know a lot of people that are in these worst case scenarios, and it's just scary. It's just scary because I'm like, oh, fuck. And there's like a lot of recommendations that I'm not following because I didn't know any better. And
Like
there's
what?
also like, I don't really want to think too much about it, but like an example would be like, I didn't know I should get a pneumonia vaccine every 5 to 10 years. You know, I didn't know that like my upper urinary needed to be scoped yearly. You know, these are just, you know, recommendations, you know, from a cystoscopy standpoint or whatever. You know, there's just like so much stuff that I'm like, oh fuck, didn't know. You know, like I didn't know there's just so much. There's a lot of greater risks involved, and it's mostly all like secondary complications. Like the spinal cord injury itself is the reason, and then the lack of the nerves being able to connect from your brain down to the rest of your body, all of those secondary complications.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
And even other complications, like the fact that after I got hit by the car, this wrist is fucked more than this wrist was. And wrist problems are like a huge problem for people that use manual wheelchairs. Same things with like elbows. Like this elbow was jacked up in the first, you know, accident and 10 years ago. And it's like, oh, dang, when are my shoulders going to go out? Are my shoulders going to go out? Like there's just like so much to
You're
it.
just
And
going
it's
to have
like,
to become more of the Bionic Man. You're going to have to get more Iron Man parts, bro.
I don't know. And it's like, you know, oh, well,
You're
there's
already
more,
full of metal.
yeah, it's like more, and it's like the more active you are, the more risks there are, but also the more active you are, the more preventative you are.
Yeah, of course, man. I
At
mean,
the
life
same
is a
time,
series of trade-offs. I
it's-
mean, shit, like
It's this weird balance that
Yeah.
it just put me into a place where I'm like, after I spent 2 days of pretty much just research, that's when I messaged you last night. I was like, yo, this video is not getting done tonight.
No, it's
like-
fine. The
I'm like-
thing
I'm like-
is, I think with that, it's like life is a series of trade-offs, right? It's like you can't just do one thing without it affecting the other thing. Like there's like a scale. So it's
Facts.
you can't like, yeah, when you're active, you're going to be a healthier person like overall, but there's always risks involved. For example, I was a dumbass and I was trying to do box jumps, not because I was trying to be a dumbass, but because I wanted to be more healthy and I wanted my legs to be stronger. But what did I do? I fucked up my leg, and I could have easily gotten like an infection or something in my leg from having that giant hole. I could have had to go to the hospital and had to get stitches and like all this stuff. It's like, shit, you know. Yeah, I'm being more at risk, but also, you know what's more at risk? Laying around all the time and never moving my body. You know what I mean? Like I'm going to have long-term
Exactly.
problems versus these short-term like weird little things. You know, for example, you could always be so crazy about germs even from birth. Like you could be, you know, using antibacterial soap and all this stuff and blah blah blah, and like your immune system never gets any practice, so as soon as you come in contact with even the most simplest forms of germs, you get sick. You know what I mean? So it's like,
Yeah.
it's a very weird trade-off, you know. And right now is one of those times where it's like a lot of people that are always like, nah, I never wash my hands, man. I'm good. My immune system's good. It's like, now's the time to like supplement your immune system. Yeah, your immune system might be good, but like right now we're in the middle of a pandemic, so maybe you should wash your hands a little more, or maybe you should be a little more cautious. Maybe you should use that antibacterial soap, because over the past years you have built up a lot of immunity, but you should still be more careful right now, or whatever. And yeah, I think like everything's a trade-off, and yeah, you might be more like at risk than other people, but I mean, I think that, you know, even those recommendations, you're like, shit, I didn't know about that or whatever. Dude, there's people that are still doing dumb stuff that they think, like, there's people that don't even know the first thing about nutrition. There's people that still don't know, you know, the first thing about exercising or whatever. And you're definitely in a better position than a lot of people, I think.
No, you're totally right, and I'm not saying like I'm in a bad position or
No.
like a worse position. It's one of those.
But you like human optimization, and you don't like to be feeling like you're at a disadvantage.
Yeah, exactly. I don't like looking at data that's been collected for, I mean, almost 80 plus years now.
Yeah.
And looking at all of like the commonalities and all the situations and all the correlations and like all the changes that occur and happen over time and what certain things could mean and what certain things don't mean, and like even the dangers of like, for example, like we don't have any extra high risks of like, say, rectal cancer, for example, but because we don't have like regular feeling or function, we don't notice any symptoms.
So if you do have rectal cancer, you wouldn't even know. That makes sense.
We wouldn't even know to go to the doctor because like nothing would change for us. It would just be like the same thing, you know. Like there's just a lot, you know. There's even like I don't know. There's just a lot of it, and even the one thing that got me messed up the most was like reading. I forget what it was called. It was something they used a word for it, but basically it's like when problems cause problems, where it's like you go to the hospital for like one reason, and like that reason causes another problem, which causes another problem, which causes another problem. I mean, I'm kind of doing that right now. Like
you're with the blood clot stuff. It's like you might have had blood clots for years, but it wasn't an issue but then once you got hit by the car, then it became an issue, and then they figured out it was a big thing, and now you're on blood thinners, and now your hair's falling out, and now blah 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 blah. It's a domino effect. I totally get it. It sucks.
Exactly, and it's like it's just like one after another after another after another. But there's a lot of like.
My old roommate, it was like the same thing, dude. Like every time there was something wrong, it was always something else, and then it was something else, and then it was something else, and then it was something else, and you never know what's causing what. Correlation equals causation. You're so confused. You just want answers, but you're not getting any. The doctors don't seem to really know what's going on. They're grasping at straws. You're grasping at straws. You're doing your own research. You're freaking out. You want your doctors to do one thing, but they want to do another. You're wondering if they're motivated by money or your actual health. Like it's all fucky.
Yeah, it's weird, but I've pretty much just like. I'll be excited when this video comes out and it doesn't have the energy that I feel towards it right now.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
It's like the point of the video is like all about prevention. Basically, it's like you want to live longer, do these things so you can avoid all of these things that completely destroy you in the long run. But the only way I was able to research that was find out about all the things that destroy you in the long run and the preventative measures you take in order to avoid them, so that I can then demonstrate and then teach the viewers, everyone else, like,
but
hey,
that's
these
kind
are
of the importance of teaching, bro. Like, you can be willfully ignorant and just like, well, I don't even know this stuff, so whether it affects me or not, I don't know it, so like whatever. Or you can learn it so well that you can teach it, and that's when you become like an expert, Like, for example, you could be so good at a certain thing to a certain point, but until you have to teach it to someone, you might not even realize that you've been not doing the technique completely perfect. Like, for example, I've been talking
straight up. I'm learning a lot about that too. The more I'm like, oh, geez, I'm doing all these things that technically aren't right.
Yeah, like a lot of people hit me up for like Photoshop stuff all the time, and I'm like, well, this is how I would do it. It's probably not the right way, but like. This is how I normally do it because I've never bothered to figure out the right way. But it's like, well, if I'm going to be teaching people, I should probably look it up. And then I look it up and I'm like, oh, they've thought of this. Like, there's a workaround for this. Like, I could have been doing it this way for years. And I could beat myself up for it and been like, I've been fucking wasting my time doing this dumb thing for years and years and been, my workflow sucks and blah, blah, blah. Or I can just be like, okay, from now on, I'll do it this way and I'll save time in the future. But, like, I'm not going to beat myself up for, like, doing the wrong thing. But now I know, and now I can teach other people,
Yeah, it's definitely You gotta know how to do it wrong before you can teach it how to do it right.
That's pretty true. You got to know the rules before you can break them too.
Yeah, and in the process of me learning how to do this to help our longevity last, or whatever I'm trying to say, help us live longer, I've learned I could do better too. Yeah, it's gonna be another one of these good. It's gonna be another very important video that I think not a lot of people are gonna see now, but like over time, it's gonna gain. Just like all of our wheelchair basics videos, man. And that's kind of like, I guess, the beauty of this unfortunateness of being like stuck in quarantine.
Is it more of a spinal cord injury basics, or is it a wheelchair basics? Because it seems like a lot of it is spinal cord injury.
A lot of it is spinal cord injury related, but a lot of it also correlates to wheelchair users, period.
Yeah.
Not just spinal cord injury. So it's like I'm going to find a way to like write it to where we can, do it from the top down of like, this affects everybody. This affects like this type of person. This affects this type of person. So no one starts the video and it's like,
Oh, this
all right,
isn't
let's
for
talk
me,
about. Yeah, it's like, oh, let's talk about cathing, and everyone's gonna be like, what are you talking about? Or be like,
Yeah.
all right, and this is how I do a skin check, and they're gonna go, I don't do skin check.
Yeah, because
What
it
are
was
you
funny.
talking about?"
Some people on the transfer video, they were like, I didn't realize that this was a thing because like I can walk a little bit, so I didn't realize like why people would need a transfer. It's like you just stand up and you transfer. Like they're like, oh, gotcha. This is a whole different world.
Hope you enjoyed that clip. If you'd like to see the full episode, click right here. If you'd like to subscribe, click here. If you'd like more clips, we got 2 more right over here.